All right, I seem to have lost my other pen, so we'll just do this with red. That's all I got.
Even though it's a purple pen.
Even though it's a purple pen, it writes in red. Someone swapped out the ink for it. So, okay. All right. So we're going to factor quadratic, okay, expressions here. Okay. So, like, first of all, right, what is a quadratic expression? Okay, so oops. Yes. So, oh goodness gracious, let me just do it this way. Sorry. All right, quadratic. Okay, of the form. Now there's going to be two main kind of like ways, or two kinds we're looking at. But the main one we're looking at today are ones that look like this: x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so like this is like from number 2, right? Number 2 on the warm-up today. All of our answers, right, had a variable squared term, so this is x squared, a squared, y squared, b squared. Then they had another term, this middle term, right, which was a number with the same variable as the first thing here, so it was 4x, 2a, negative 4y, positive 3b there, okay. And then the very last term here was just a single number, a constant, right, 3, negative 8, 4, using minus 28, and that's that plus c. Okay, so B and C are numbers. Okay, what's the number in front of the x squared term? Did you need something? No.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the number in front of the x squared term? What number is here? Or what number could we put there? A 1, right? There's a 1 there. That's exactly right. Okay. So, let's talk about this. So, the major way that we're going to look at how to factor these is something called the product sum method. Okay? Product sum method. Okay? So again, if we look up here, where do we get that term product sum from? Well, if you look up here, for example, back at our warm-up problem, okay, at our warm-up problem here, we had x plus 1 times quantity x plus 3. We multiplied it out, and we got this, x squared plus 3x plus 1x plus 3. But then, once we kind of combined all of our terms together, we ended up with this, x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now, can anyone see a quick way to go from this first step down to this second, or this third step here? Does anyone see how we can kind of use these numbers to get what we need down here? So, Alex, what do you see there? Okay, so the x and the x made the x squared, good. How can we get 4x, how can we get 4 from like these numbers up here? What do you see? All right, Debbie, go ahead.
Get the x away from 4x.
Right, okay. But I mean, how can we use these numbers? How, like the 1 and the 3 there, how do 1 and 3 arrive at 4?
1x.
Right, yeah, we end up, these two numbers, if you add them together, give us that middle term, okay? These two numbers, when you add them together, give you that middle term, right? And with the x added on, okay? Is that true in general? Does that work for letter B? If we add these two numbers together, do we get the middle term? What's 4 plus negative 2? It's 2. Right, Alex? So it does work, okay? Letter C, negative 2 and negative 2. What's negative 2 plus negative 2? Negative 4. And look, there it is. The middle term is negative 4. And then what about letter D here? 7 plus negative 4. What's that?
3.
3. And there it is, okay? So it looks like Okay, maybe it's a coincidence, right? But actually, it turns out it is not a coincidence. The middle term, okay, for these kind of problems is gotten by adding together those two numbers. Okay. What about the last number here, 3, or -8, or 4, or -28? How can we get those numbers from where we started? So how can we get 3 from these two numbers? Yeah, multiply. 1 times 3 is 3, right?
Is that where we get the product?
That's the idea of the product. Exactly right. 4 times -2, -8. -2 times -2, +4. 7 times -4, -28.
Wouldn't it just be like summed in product?
Kind of. The reason why we put the product first and then the sum is because, well, we'll talk about that here in a second. There is a reason for why we put product first. Okay, so let's factor the quadratic below. Okay, so those are our directions. Factor the quadratic below. Okay, so here's our example. Let's say we've got x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, and now the idea is we're going to go backwards, right? We want to come up with something. Okay, it's going to factor to something times something, right? In parentheses there, like that. Okay. Well, what do we know? What variables do we know we have to have in here? We got to have x's, right? So we'll put an x here and an x here. The x and the x will help us guarantee we're going to do an x times x. We'll get an x squared there. So those two x's, we need those to make that x squared. But now we need to have these two numbers here, right? We need to fill in some numbers over here. All right. These two numbers, what do we know about these two numbers? They have to multiply to make what? 8, right? The last term here. So these two numbers, if they fall, they're going to follow that same pattern we had from the warm-up, right? Where these, 1 and 3 multiply to make 3. 4 and -2 multiply to make -8. -2 and -2 multiply to make 4. 7 and -4 multiply to make -28. They're going to multiply to make that last term, but they have to add to make what? The middle term. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus -2 is 2. -2 plus -2 is -4. 7 plus -4 is 3. Okay. Yes, it's 2 and 4. Alex figured it out right there, okay? And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So 2 and 4 multiply to make 8, and they add to make 6. So we're going to put plus 2 and plus 4. Okay, now someone maybe was working ahead of me, and they maybe wrote x plus 4 times x plus 2. Is this okay? Yeah. Why is that okay? Same thing. Plus order, right. 2 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 2, right? So x plus 2 times x plus 4 is the same thing as x plus 4 times x plus 2. So either one of these is acceptable. Okay? And so there are your answers. Either one of those. That's it. We just factored it. Okay? That's it. We factored it. And no one in here should wonder whether they got the question wrong or whether they got the question right or not, okay? Because we can FOIL this back out to check whether this is right or not. So if I take that x plus 2 times x plus 4 and we FOIL it back out, or if you do the distributive property, however you want to say it there, okay? X times x is, whoops, I should put an equal sign, not a plus sign there. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 8. And we combine our like terms there, and there it is, x squared plus 6x plus 8. So you see it does work. We get what we started with there. Okay? But of course you don't need to do the check, but if you're unsure, do it, okay? Alright, questions on any of that? Alright, let's try another one here then. Excuse me. Alright, next one, x squared plus 8x plus 12. Okay, x squared plus 8x plus 12. So again, we want to find two numbers, right? So we're going to put an x there and an x there. We want to find two numbers that multiply to make what? 12. The 12. So first step, multiply to 12. Okay? Multiply to 12. Yeah, sorry, it's a 12. And then add to make 8. So hold on a second. So I heard 3 and 4, 4 and 3, okay? So let's try. So 4 and 3, we could do 6 and 2. What other options do we have that multiply to make 12?
1 and 12.
1 and 12. Okay? So right, so if we look here, right, is 4 and 3 the right choice? No, why not? Right, what is it? Adds up to 7, right? Okay, 6 and 2, yes, it adds to 8. So x plus 6, x plus 2. For these,
Are there problems that'll have more than one answer?
yeah, we're gonna look at some. We're gonna look at some a little more challenging ones here. Let's have you guys try 2 here. All right, so I'm gonna have you try 2. So try n squared plus 13n plus 36. And then also try c squared plus 7c plus 6. Okay, so try those 2. Try those 2. Factor them. Okay? Give those 2 a try. Okay, I'm going to come around here. Blake, let's give it a try here. Corey, let's give her a try here, bud. Try and factor 1 and 2, just like we did, okay? Curtis, you too, buddy. Try and factor 1 and 2 there, okay? Just like we were doing. Okay? So if you have any questions, I'll come around and help. Perfect. Great job. You got it, Alex. Well done. Do a little puzzle, right? So you doing here? Yes. Good job. You want to multiply to make what number? And then you want to add to make 13. So you need to figure out 2 numbers that multiply to 13 and add to make 13.
So what are the factors of 6? We gotta write them down.
Use your calculator. You use your calculator.
Check it out. Well, you're not doing it, because it's not here. So what are the factors of 6? So 1 times 36, right? 2 times what comes in the 36?
18 and 2, well, I think they're actually, right, they would add.
2 times. Do you have a calculator?
Good.
So what are the factors of 36? That'll give you 13 if you add or subtract them.
Try to get a pair of numbers. Your calculator needs to tell us. Can you think if you want to multiply to 6 plus 6 is 12. You need another pair of numbers.
We got 36, right? And I know 1 times 36, but that's not going to give us 13, is it? No, 2 goes into 36.
Good job.
2 goes into 36.
Good, all right.
2 plus 18 equals
And you put equal sign between those, right? Because they're equal.
And 18 minus 2 goes into 13, right? So let's look at 3.
So what numbers multiply to 36? Give me a pair. 6 and 6.
12 plus 3 equals 13.
12 and 3.
No, and 12 minus 3.
Yeah, what else can we divide 36 by? 2 and 18, that doesn't really help though.
Well, then
You're missing a pair.
you have a calculator.
36 also does like 4 as well. 4, 36, how about And then all, for 6, it's easy, you don't get 2 options. 2 and 3, 1 and 6. I know, almost.
26 here, it becomes 26.
I know, right? 23. Alright. Corey, getting this okay? Alright. It's all in your head, right? Yeah.
4 and 9.
9 and 4 is the first one. So, no, you didn't get the first one.
Now, do you know what you do with those numbers? You have them? 4 and 9.
And you just got it. No, you didn't.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, I think everyone's pretty much through here. We'll see. Okay, so let's see what we came up with. All right, so BJ, did you get something for number 1 here? 9 and 4. Okay, so what do I need to actually write out though for the answer here? If I just write 9 and 4, right? If I just write this, that's not the answer, right? How do I actually need to write it out? Yeah, or in this case, n plus 9, but I know what you mean. N plus 9 and n plus 4, because we have n for our variables there. Yes, this thing is equal to this product right there. Okay. Good. Right? Remember, we want to have 2 numbers that multiply to make 36, but add to make 13, okay? And this can be kind of tricky if we don't, if we have some trouble with, division and trying to figure out what numbers, divide to make what. You can use your calculator to help you, right, in guessing and checking numbers here. So, for example, some people, I saw they did like 36 divided by 2, and they're like 2 and 18, right? 2 and 18, they do multiply to make 36, but 2 and 18 are not our answers because why? They don't add to 13, they add to 20, right? And so that doesn't help us, okay? All right, let's take a look at number 2. Let's take a look at number 2 here, all right? Let's go to Piper. Piper number 2. What does that factor to be? C plus 1, C plus 6. Very good. Exactly right there. Okay? C plus 1 and C plus 6. And again, we look for 2 numbers that multiply to make 6, but add to make 7. So 2 and 3 multiply to make 6, but they don't add to make 7. 6 and 1 multiply to make 6, and they add to make 7. So that's our answer. Why do you think, and this could be a little bit tricky, but why do you think we check to see the numbers that multiply to make 6 first, and then check to see if they add to make 7? We could go backwards. We could start with the 7, the numbers that add to make 7, and then see which ones multiply to make 6. But why do you think we go the other direction? Why do you think we start with the products first, and then check to see if they add to make 7? What do you think? Eli, what do you say?
Is it because of the order you do FOIL? So you have to do
Okay, yeah, the order of FOIL, that's true. That's kind of the way we do things with FOIL. Yeah, that's one idea. What do you say there, Alex?
Because it's a lot easier, I guess, knowing the time. Like, just if you just do 1 times 6, and then that's easiest that, we know what's 1 plus 6.
Okay, so yes, it is easier. I think you're on the right track. Let me see what Debbie has to say too, but you're on the right track. Okay, I see what you're saying there. Yep, Think about it this way too. How many options do you have for numbers that multiply to make 6?
Only 2 options.
We have 2 options basically, right? We have 2 and 3 for nice numbers at least, and we can do fractions and there's an infinite. But if we have 2 and 3 or 6 and 1, how many options do we have to add to make 7? Well, you have 1 and 6, 2 and 5, 3 and 4, and then I guess backwards. So there's a few more options when it comes to addition than there are with multiplication. So we check the multiplication ones normally first, and then we check to see if they add because it's just a little bit quicker that way. Okay. But you could go the other direction too. You could check to see numbers that add to make this and then multiply to make that. All right, now, we're not quite done yet because all we've been working with so far has been addition, right? But we also could have some subtraction thrown in there too. Okay. You don't like subtraction?
No.
Sorry. All right. So we're going to continue to factor here. Okay, we're going to continue to factor, but let's see what changes when we start throwing in some subtraction, or if anything changes. All right, e squared minus 7e plus 10. Okay, so again, I'm just changing up the variables here. If you guys like using x, just use x. That's fine. You don't have to like change up the variables like I'm changing it up here. Okay, that's up to you. Okay, so now let's see if anything changes here. So Kwanye, can you see okay back there, Kwanye? Okay. Kwanye, our normal strategy here is to try to find two, in this case, we'll be trying to find two numbers that multiply to make what? 10. So we want to multiply to 10, and we want them to add to make what, Kwanye?
7.
But not just 7. Is it positive 7?
Negative.
Yeah, it's negative 7 because you have that minus sign right there. Okay? So we want to add to negative 7. Okay? So, Kwanye, can you come up with two numbers that multiply to make 10 for us, please? Negative 2 and negative 5. Very good choices. Okay? So some people here might have just said 2 and 5, which is not wrong, right? Positive 2 and positive 5. They multiply to make 10, but do positive 2 and positive 5 add to make negative 7? No, right?
So it wouldn't be reason why you do it because it's 2 is there, it's just add that to get
Right. We need to add. So the thing is here, Eli Kwanye. The thing here is that these two numbers that we choose need to multiply and make 10 still, but now that we have this negative show up, we need to consider negative options as well. So 2 and 5, positive 2 and positive 5 multiply and make 10, but so do negative 2 and negative 5, right? Negative 2 and negative 5 multiply and make 10, and then they end up adding to make that negative 7 there. And so that's why we want to make this e minus 2, e minus 5.
A negative times a negative is a positive.
That's right. Just like Escalante said. A negative times a negative is a positive. Again.
A negative times a negative.
That's right. But why? Okay, so there's your answer. All right, let's try another one. P squared plus P minus 2. P squared plus P minus 2. Okay, so in this case we want to multiply to what? Multiply to make negative 2. And then we want to add to make what number? 1, right? There's a 1 in front of that P. So add to 1. So, let's take that negative 2 there, just come up with two options here. So what are two numbers that multiply to make negative 2? Dorian, give me two numbers that multiply to make negative 2. 2 times negative 1, right? Yep, so 2 and negative 1. Okay, do those add together, Dorian, to make 1? Yeah, that's it. You found the answer. First guess. Very good. Or maybe you didn't guess. Maybe you already figured it out. Okay, so P plus 2, P minus 1. Okay, they multiply together to make that P squared plus P minus 2. Okay, so I don't need that there either. Okay, so there it is. All right, let's try another one. X squared plus 3x minus 54. Okay, so again we want to multiply to make negative 54 and add to make 3 here. Alright, so Eli, let's have you try this one. Okay, multiply to make negative 54, add to make 3. So can you come up with two numbers that multiply to make negative 54? And if you need to use a calculator or something like that, that's fine. Okay. Can you give us two numbers, and just any two numbers is fine. You don't have to give us the right answer off the bat. That's okay. 27 and not 3, 2. Okay, so which one? Well, so remember, we need one of them to be positive, one to be negative in order to multiply to make negative 54. So you want to say like 27 and negative 2?
Sure.
Okay. Obviously, though, these are not the answers because why, Eli? I know. I'm saying, but we're checking. So this is not correct. I mean, they do multiply, make negative 54, but it's not right, Eli, because
they don't add up to 50.
right. Well, they give us 25, so maybe that'll work for another problem or something like that, but not for this one. Okay, can you give me another pair of numbers here, Eli? 18 and 3. Okay, but again, we need like one to be positive, one to be negative. Let's make it negative 18 and positive 3. Okay, so again, that's the wrong answer, right? Negative 18 plus 3 doesn't work because we need to add to be 3, middle term there. Alex, you think you have it?
What is like negative 9?
Negative 9 and positive 6? All right, let's check. Negative 9 times 6, does that make negative 54? Yes. Does negative 9 plus 6 make positive 3? It makes negative 3. So what we got to do? Flip the signs. And that's okay. That's good. This is the process you're going to go through. So just because you didn't get it right the first time, you're going to fine-tune it. This is what we want. 9 times negative 6 is negative 54. 9 plus negative 6 is positive 3. So, Alex, that's the exact process you're going to do. Okay. And there is your final answer. X plus 9 times x minus 6. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. So that's all we're doing for now. Okay, I'm going to give you guys your assignment. You have a good 20 minutes to work on it here.